Well, let me tell you a little something about me. When it's Saturday night, I need to blow off some steam.
Welcome to another episode of AM Whiskey. I'm Aaron, and this is Mark. And today, we got a special episode for you. We've got the newest batch of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof B524.
130.6 proof, 11 years, 2 months, no days. Clearly not a Beam product, right? Thank God. I don't know the days count. But this is, 130. Thank you, Elijah Craig.
130. I mean, again, a lot of people got all up in arms once they dropped the 12-year age statement. And then C923 came out and it was 13 plus. And people loved it. The A124, Mark really liked it. It's kind of his jam. So we'll see the B524 again. I think this is one of the best values in bourbon. I think even the bad batches are pretty good for the $75 that you're going to pay for them. If you can find them, these are a buy all day long for me. I don't even need to taste it because they're consistently at least good.
It's good.
They're good to very good.
Yeah.
So we'll just see
agree.
if this one is good or very good.
Well, or even great, maybe, right?
Or
So,
great.
All the whiskey nerds, right? The C923, excellent bottle. A lot of people's one of the best whiskeys of last year.
Yeah.
And anytime you get a high proof Elijah Craig that's up in age, it tends to drink really well, really complex. Gives you a lot of different things.
And we all know that I like a nutty profile. And Heaven Hill gets a little bit of that. So it's
If you go way back in the day, right? So Jim Beam is the father of the nutty profile. Heaven Hill had a fire decades and decades ago, and Jim Beam came and provided Heaven Hill with some of their yeast.
Yep.
And some of that flavor profile still exists within the whiskey today.
Smells good.
It does.
Smells good. I am not getting any of that Jim Beam nutty profile.
I'm not getting any nuts off the nose. I'm not getting any ethanol either.
Yeah, there's definitely not like a huge hit of ethanol. I can tell that there's some proof there.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell it, but it's not the predominant note. It's actually a lot lighter on the nose than I expected, but more of those kind of classic flavor
It's classic
profiles.
bourbon
Yeah.
notes. I get a little caramel, a little barrel char, a little vanilla.
You got to dig deep to try and get anything other than those just kind of classic notes.
Yeah, it's a classic nose profile.
Smells good though. I'm not gonna lie.
Coats the glass pretty damn well.
Ooh. Ooh. That's spicier than
Woo! Are you going Ric Flair on it? Is it Ric Flair? Is it Ric Flair in a glass?
it's it's a little spicy. There's definitely some spice in there, but it's
I haven't had any yet.
oh well, get that on the palate. It's
Yeah. So I get a rush of nut at the very front of the palate with almost a chocolate and a really significant spice backer.
yeah, it's I agree. I do get some of that nuttiness on the front of the palate.
Very shortly lived.
Yeah, and it's kind of a creamy nut. I mean, more like a peanut butter as opposed to like the dry kind of peanut shell that you get on Jim
You
Beam.
are our local nut expert.
I am the nut expert. I do love me some peanut butter. Then it goes very sweet. There's slight cherry note to it, but more leans towards the vanillas, caramels, and then it just rushes into the spice. Just that rye spice. You get a kind of an allspice, little bit of cardamom, maybe some black pepper, but it's more those classic baking spices, the kind of cinnamons, but
Yeah, it's more way more baking spice than rye spice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still rye related, but yeah.
it's that cinnamon, nutmeg kind of just.
I'm actually really impressed. It does not drink proofy at all. Like, I'm not getting a Kentucky hug. Like, this is 130.
I'm getting a little bit of a hug, but it's nowhere near, like, it is not the most prevalent thing.
No.
It's not very ethanol on the palate. Honestly, where I get it the most is just going down kind of in my throat, but it's just short-lived, and then it gets down.
It's more of it's a flavoring. It's a spice flavoring. At least that's how it's coming across for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm
it's good.
confused and impressed.
Well, we'll spend a little bit more time with this and come back with our final thoughts. All right, final thoughts on Elijah Craig, batch B524. I think this is a great bottle. I got good spice characteristic in my whiskeys.
It's a spicy meatball.
It is a spicy meatball. There's a lot of spice on the back end of this. I personally love it. I really like this. I don't know that it's tapping on the C923, but I think I'm going to prefer this to A124. I'm giving this 8-1.
I can respect the whiskey. It drinks way easier in its proof. It's full of flavor. The mid palate and back palate carries a lot of spice characteristics: peppers, baking spice, cardamom, touch of cinnamon. It's a hell of a whiskey.
It's pretty good.
It is not my flavor profile. It's not my preference. But I can respect the juice that's in that glass. I feel like it drinks significantly below its proof, even though it has a very strong spice characteristic. I'm going to give it an 8-0. I think that for a person that likes high rye or high spice and a back end and finish, that this is a really, really, really good whiskey.
I might be doing it a disservice with my score compared to how much I like this, and maybe
I agree. I'm surprised you didn't rate it mid 8s.
Yeah,
I know you and what you like. Like, this to me is.
I think I'm being a little harsh.
You are.
I went back to that and I'm like, no, this is an 8.4, 8.5 whiskey.
For you, this should be a mid 8s. For me, it should be a 8 flat, and the only reason it's penalized to an 8 flat is because it's not my flavor profile.
Well, you were big on A124.
I did like A124.
So we happened to pour a little A124 and see how it compares. Now, going by our flavor profiles, he's going to be an A124 guy, and I'm going to be a B524 guy. I like a little more spice. I like those darker flavors. He keeps going to the A124 as a Snicker. I remember it as being bright and fruity, so kind of like he is bright and fruity. And he likes the nuts.
Yeah, A124 smells really good. They both have really good noses.
I mean, right off the bat, I mean, A124 is very, very good. But it's much.
It's sweeter. It's sweet.
There's not as much spice on the back end as this.
There's relatively no. So A124 is significantly sweeter. There is a fruit component. There's a chocolate. So here's what's interesting.
See, I got chocolate on my last sip of the B524.
I could see that. Sweet, almost kind of fruity, relatively no spice, and almost a chocolate type finish with barrel tannin. This I could see over time. The B524 I could really see evolving and getting ultra complex. It's always going to be kind of on that spicy side. It reminds me of Stag 23A. That was a spicier batch of Stag. But this, I feel like, has more complexity to it than Stag 23A. I really, really respect this bottle. It's not my preferred flavor, but I think B524 is pretty damn good.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's closer than I thought it was gonna be.
Oh,
Um,
I like A124 better, but that's because from an experience perspective, the way it works with my palate, I get the nut, the caramel, and a chocolate finish.
yeah, you called it. You like that Snicker profile. I like a little bit of that more spice coming on the back end. They're very close. Again, to me, this is a bottle that I'm gonna buy. If I can get any of these, I mean, look behind Mark here. There's 6, 7, 8 of them. I'm gonna get them
This is the one I like, A124.
because they're delicious. They're not bad at all. I think they're both a buy. I think if you like a spicier profile, you're gonna like the B batch. If you like a sweeter profile, you're probably gonna like the A batch. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think it is.
These are not always on the
Correct.
shelf.
They're a lot more
You're
than
gonna have to hunt for them or find them.
This is the world famous C923, right?
World famous.
Right, one of the best whiskeys of quote unquote 2023. And you can see it's been drank, it's been hit. Here's these other two they're not the same, they're not the same caliber, but they ain't far off.
No. Again, I don't know how much we have to say it. Just Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Just buy them. It slaps. If you can find them, buy them. For $75, they punch above their price point in today's market. Do I think it's a $75 whiskey?
Yes.
Do I think it's priced appropriately? Yes. Unfortunately, whiskey isn't priced appropriately anymore. But these are.
Do I think you find they always offer complexity, and when you find the one that fits your profile, it's worth way more than what you paid for.
Buy them. Buy them.
Buy.
Even a bad batch is a $75 bottle of whiskey. It's going to slap most $75 bottles of whiskey that you get. So just, if you find it, count yourself lucky, pick it up. This has been another episode of AM Whiskey. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Just hit that little thumbs up button. Subscribe.
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 Until then.
Costs you nothing. Helps us out. And you'll keep the whiskey flowing. Have
Cheers.
a good night.
Cheers.